This is Chapter 12, Lesson 6, Select an Appropriate Display. So, we have some rules to go by. I would make sure you have these written down in your notebook. So, my first one, a bar graph. Use a bar graph to show the number of items in specific categories. A box plot shows measures of variation for a set of data, also useful for very large sets of data. Histogram shows frequency of data divided into equal intervals. A line graph shows change over a period of time, and line plots show how many times each number occurs. So these are all the different types of graphs we've talked about, and now we need to look at some information and decide which one would be the best. So let's look at some examples. This example can be found on page 911. This is B and C. The table shows the quiz scores of Mr. Vincent's math class. So these are the math quiz scores. We want to select an appropriate type of display to allow you to count the number of students with a score of 85. We want to explain the choice, make the appropriate display. So if I'm looking at this display and they want to know a certain number, if I go back to my statistical displays chart, whenever it wants to know how many times a number occurs, it says we should use a line plot. So let's do that. So I decided that I'm going to use a line plot. And now we need to make the line plot. So let's write down the numbers we have. We have 65, 70, 75, 80, 85, 90, 95, and 100. Now we're hoping to see how many 85s we have. So we need to go through all the data up here, and remember, we place a little X next to the number that each one occurs with. So let's go through the data and do that. I see a few 70s, 75, 80, 100, 85, 85, 65, etc. Once I have put all of the numbers on my line plot, I then can count to see how many times 85 occurs. If I look at this line plot, I can see that 85 occurs 6 times. So my answer would be 6. And again, I chose the line plot because it says the line plot shows how many times each number occurs. So remember, following that chart we have on page 910 will help us to determine which display to use.